So I'm thinking to just turn this whole rack into like a little Neocaridina shrimp rack. Yeah, I think we're onto something here. I think it's starting to look nice. Okay, so the shrimp are currently being caught. In the meantime, let's take a quick look at the store because they have some really nice display tanks over here. So a few weeks ago I set up this little Nano Aquascape right here. If you didn't see the build video, I'll leave a link on the top of the screen. But this one is now home to some of my most beautiful red cherry shrimp. I've kind of selected the most beautiful ones. And I'm really enjoying this layout and I'm really enjoying the shrimp. So I'm thinking today we'll set up another shrimp tank. So these 4 tanks are all the same size and they hold about 20 liters, which is just too small for most fish. I mean, on top here I have some baby guppies, but they're getting too big for that tank as well. So I'm thinking to just turn this whole rack into like a little Neocaridina shrimp rack. I think that would be cool. Like 2 weeks ago I was visiting one of my local fish stores and they had a beautiful selection of all different colors of Neocaridina shrimp. So now we'll have red ones in here, maybe some green ones or some blue ones in there, yellow ones on the bottom, orange ones over there, and then on top we'll pick another color, something like that. I think that will be really cool. So for this setup I'm again using an optic white rimless aquarium from the company Strideways. This is the new line from them. I think it's pronounced the Duoro. Yeah, I think it's Duoro. So this is the range with the 45-degree edges. Pretty cool, pretty high quality. The Guppyfry Aquascape is also the Duoro range. And then the cherry shrimp tank is the Sado range, which is like the more budget-friendly version. It just has a normal straight glass edges, but still very high quality. I don't see a big difference in terms of the glass and the silicone work. So yeah, really cool tanks. Tanks are sponsored, by the way. In terms of light, I'm using the Chihiros AII series. Pretty cool light. I was planning to use another Twin Star B series, but I'm currently using that one on the Twinscape experiment. So that one is currently busy. So we're using the Chihiros AII series. It's also pretty good light. And the only thing I did already just to get started with the build is the background foil. That's already done. We've all seen that a million times already, so there's no need to repeat that. So let's get started on the hardscape. Oh yeah, one more thing about the background foil. People often ask me what I use for that. This is just a very cheap stuff from your local hardware store. So normally people use this for their windows or for the doors, just to get a bit more privacy so you don't get any creepers peeping into your house. So they have this in all different kind of patterns. I think this one is called Milky or Frosty, something like that. Yeah, it's just super basic. I think this is like 50 centimeters wide and you get like 10 meters, 20 meters. I think this costs like €6 or something like that, so it's super cheap and it works perfectly on these rimless tanks. But that's enough chit chat. Let's get started with the hardscape. First step, a nice layer of aqua soil. Okay, that was just some leftover aqua soil that I had lying around and I wanted to use. Probably not enough, but it's a good base layer for our hardscape. I'm not sure yet if I want to use a cosmetic sand in the foreground or just keep it soil and go for a carpet, but yeah, we'll see along the way. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. So just like 4 pieces, all kind of intertwined, just to make it look like it's one big piece. And this wood is like some type of spider wood, but it's a bit darker than usual. So if you see over there on that piece, like you see those black patches. So it used to be completely black like that, but I think the shrimp and the Oleosinclus kind of ate the bark from it. I've used these pieces before, that's why. Next up is to add some small rocks. So I'm going to be using the exact same rocks as I've used in this aquarium. This is called Geo Rock or Geostone. It's very interesting, really textured. So let's add some small stones here. I think we're onto something here. I think it's starting to look nice. I might still change the position of the rocks, so I'm still not 100% sure about that. We still need to add in more soil as well, so then we can make the final adjustments. I think it's a good idea not to go for a sand substrate, because these rocks are very small, and to be able to create a barrier with them might be tricky. So let's just go with a nice green carpet in the foreground. So I just had a quick lunch break while I was eating. The doorbell rang and box full of plants. Couldn't be more on time. Thank you Dental Plants for sponsoring the plants for this setup. Let's open this up. Let's see what we have to work with. A little sneak peek behind the box here. This week I'm actually setting up 2 tanks. This is the first one. The one behind it is the second one. So that's going to be another video. So plants for these 2 setups are sponsored by Dental Plants. So huge shout out to them. Thank you very much as always. Actually 1 month ago I was in Germany at Dental Plants. I set up 2 tanks there as well. Made 2 videos. If you didn't see those videos, I'll leave them in the description and on top of the screen right now. Alright, let's see what we got. Long list. Alright, here we go. That's most of it. Like I said, we're going to be setting up 2 tanks this week. So this is not all for that 20 liter nano. What we are going to be using is some hair grass, Eleocharis acicularis. We're going to be using some Hemianthus callitrichoides cuba, some beautiful crypt parva, one of my favorites. Some more crypt parva, and then I also saw, here it is. Another one of my favorites, crypt lutea Hobbit, super small crypt. Alright, so that was our plant selection. Now moving back to the tank, I think the hardscape is about 90% done. So I just covered everything in a nice layer of powder soil. I'm using the Aquario Neo powder soil. It just looks better in these small tanks, you know. If you have these really big grains of soil, it just looks a bit off. Next up is to glue the hardscape. I'm going to glue all the pieces of wood together, so it's just one solid piece. And then see if I can glue it to some of these smaller rocks, just to make sure it doesn't float. Alright, that's the gluing done. I think, let's do a little test. Yeah, feels pretty secure. So let's see here. So over there I've connected it on 2 points. So on the lower end there as well. In between there, behind there. So you see all those white pieces of cotton pad. So we need to cover that up. And for that I have actual soil powder. So here we have just regular soil, old stuff that I've literally just grinded into a powder. So we're going to apply that. We're first going to apply a little bit more glue onto those white spots. Then dust a little bit of that soil on top of it. And then it's all black and you literally don't see it anymore. So I just finished basically removing most of the rock wool from all the plants. Look at this crypt lutea Hobbit, super cute. What I want to show you is the Hemianthus cuba. So here I left the rock wool on because there's a little tip that I learned from Mr. Juris, is to actually leave a small portion of the rock wool on. So he actually just cuts it off like this, I think. So this portion you just cut off and you leave like a small amount on. So we're just gonna cut this in half. Cut this in smaller portions again. So we cut this in half. So I think I divided this 1 pot of Hemianthus cuba into like 15 small portions. And every portion has a little piece of rock wool attached to it. And this little piece of rock wool we're going to be using to basically plant it into the aqua soil. Because this Hemianthus cuba has super small roots, it's really difficult to plant it and to make sure that it doesn't float up again. So this little piece of rock wool just serves as a little anchor basically. The first time I tried it was like a month ago when I was actually scaping together with Juris. I tried it and it actually works really, really well. So it's definitely something I would recommend doing if you're using these small carpeting plants like Hemianthus cuba. Alright, we're basically ready to start planting. Super excited. Now me personally, I like to plant in very wet soil. So what I'm going to do is I'll add about half a liter, maybe even a liter of water, just to make sure that the soil is completely saturated before I start planting. I'm not sure if it makes any difference, but I feel like aquasoil also soaks up water. So if you add a plant that has a little bit of moisture in it into dry soil, the soil is going to soak up all the moisture from the plant, and the plant is going to dry out quicker, which is even more stress for plants. Alright, here we go. So first plant going in is of course the Hemianthus cuba. Actually very excited about this because it's been a very long time since I had a carpet of cuba. So right now I think I have 2 tanks with glossostigma as a carpet. I have 2 tanks with Monte Carlo as a carpet. What else? I have a tank with the Marseillea as a carpet, but nothing with cuba for a long time already. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So this is just a small tank and I have more than enough plants, but if you're planting a bigger tank, it's always good to kind of think beforehand how far apart you're going to plant these small patches, you know, just to make sure that you have enough, just to make sure you cover the entire surface area. Yeah, in this case we don't really have to worry about that. Right, so that was 1 pot worth of the Hemianthus cuba. I'm definitely going to add more, but I first want to move on to some crypts, just to make sure that we don't fill up all the space with cuba and then we don't have any spots left for the crypt. So yeah, let's do that. So I have 2 types of crypts. We have here crypt parva, and this is crypt lutea Hobbit. So the crypt parva is very small right now. I think it will still grow a little bit bigger. The lutea Hobbit, actually the immersed leaves are a little bit smaller than this. So I'm not sure which one to use in front, which one to use behind it. But I think I'm just going to mix them up a little bit. Will look good anyway. That's both the crypt Hobbit and the crypt parva planted. Try to keep everything as close to the rocks and the wood. If a crypt is too much in the open, I feel like it's not really natural, you know, like these plants should be close to rocks, close to wood, in shaded areas preferably. So now we'll fill up the rest of the empty spaces with more Hemianthus cuba. The next plant going in is this one, Eriocaulon cinereum. This one is a bit of a gamble. Not sure if it's going to work. It's an advanced plant, needs highlight, high CO2, I think preferably soft water as well, which I don't have, so this is going to be tricky. It's going to go right behind the piece of wood over there, and yeah, I have an idea. Not sure if it's going to work. This plant grows very spiky, so I want to see those spikes just behind that piece of wood. So I hope it's going to work. Keep our fingers crossed. Just a little side view on the Eriocaulon. So just behind the wood. I do have some doubts right now, because if it doesn't grow those spikes, you see, we're basically not going to see it. So I'm thinking to also place a little bit on either side here, just behind those rocks, just behind the cuba basically. I think they will also look nice. Okay, next I'm planting the Eleocharis, the longer hairgrass. So I want this to basically fill up the entire background, because I didn't want to go with stems again, just the usual, you know, like rotala or whatever. I just wanted to do something different. I think an entire carpet of hairgrass in the background, I think that can be pretty cool. And hopefully it will kind of stay this long as well, so if we don't trim it, it should be fine. And since this is going to be a shrimp tank, like an entire carpet of hairgrass, like shrimplets can like literally hide in there, so that's a good thing as well. So I had 5 pots of this longer hairgrass. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use all of it. So that's 5 pots of the Eleocharis acicularis planted. I think that looks really good. Like, like nice and grassy, something different. And I just had an idea for the other scape that I'm doing this week. I've ordered this plant, Juncus repens, and I have 3 pots of this. And I think 1 pot mixed in with the Eleocharis will actually look really nice as well. A bit more wild, a bit more chaotic. So that's just a random idea that I had. Let's go with it. So we have a few more spaces just around the wood, and for that I have this plant right here. This one is actually not from Denler, this one's from Tropica. So I hope Denler will forgive me. But this one has been on my wish list for a very long time. Somehow it was always out of stock. This is Cryptocoryne albida brown. And I'm very excited about this plant. It will also add some nice color to this layout because we have only green plants. So some brown crypto will look really nice, I think. Alright, little YouTube magic. It's now 3 weeks later. Just did a water test a few days ago. Still had some nitrites, but this morning they were gone, so tank is fully cycled, ready for some shrimp. So I'm back at my local fish shop. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hames. Let's see if they still have some beautiful shrimp. Here we go. Still have a lot of them actually. So here they have the blue ones, looking really good. That's the blue velvet. Then they have the red ones. Well, we already have red ones. Then they have Caridina as well, but I don't want Caridinas, they're a bit too sensitive for me. Yellow ones, also really nice. Looking really, really good. Some crystal red, some orange ones. And over here they have some, what is this? Green jade. Also looking really good. So let's see, which one should we go for? Oh, they have some more over here. These all look cool. This is the sun-kissed Riley. Also really nice. So I think I'm either going for the blue ones or the yellow ones. Okay, so the shrimp are currently being caught. I went with the blue ones, super exciting. In the meantime, let's take a quick look at the store because they have some really nice display tanks over here. I mean, look at the ones over here. There's some crazy colors. Look at the Rotala Atra, super red. Peanut Vida also turning nice and pink. A really beautiful fish. This is the, I think they call it rainbow shiners or something. This is cool. They have these pillows with Riccia fluitans. This one is nice as well. It's a bit more like a classic Dutch style. And this plant I really like. That's the Amania pedicellata golden. Yeah, really nice. Over here they have another small display tank. It's like a Denler Scapers tank 55 or 70, something like that. I think they just replanted the foreground here with some Marstellea. Some beautiful green rasboras in here. I like this plant as well. This is the Proserpinaca palustris. Or I think it's called mermaid weed, something like that. Yeah, it's a nice little display tank. Here they have the plant section. So they have this huge display in the middle here. And then these tanks here are also fully stocked with plants. Really nice in-vitro fridge as well. And then yeah guys, this shop is absolutely massive. They have another display tank in front where we just passed by. Nice Oase Highline. I think this one was also rescaped recently. The shop has an absolutely massive fish selection as well. So over here they have like a corner. So there's some of the bigger fish. And then over there in the corner where we just were, where the shrimp are, and some nano fish. And then over there they have like all the pond fish basically. Let's take a quick look over here as well. Some nice discus. Oh, these are looking nice. What are these? Leopard snakeskin discus. Really nice. Oof, some nice angelfish as well. These are looking good. Angelfish, blue pinoi. Okay, never heard of that. Some nice cories and epistogramma. More cories. The electric blue ramagesi. The normal German blue rams. I should buy some of those as well. I should set up a tank for them. And we're back home again. So let's see, we got the shrimp in the bag here. We're gonna start drip acclimating them soon. Let's take a quick look at the tank because, well, it's been 3 weeks since you guys last saw it. For you guys, it was only a few minutes. But yeah, the tank is doing really good. I've installed a hang on the back filter. This one is from Azoo, I think. I'll leave a link in the description. Very good filter, very cheap. Do remind me that I put a little sponge on the intake just to make sure we don't get any shrimp sucked into the filter. I've added some CO2 as well. This is my DIY CO2 system with yeast and sugar. And yeah, plant growth has been quite good. I did have a little bit of diatom algae, some regular startup algae, nothing to worry about. But to kind of help get rid of it, I added one autosynclus. He will go back to his buddies soon again. Yeah, plant's been growing really well. We already have a full carpet of the Hemianthus scuba. It kind of needs a trim already. But I'll wait another week with that. And the hair grass in the background has filled up nicely. Could also use a trim maybe. Oh, and I don't think I showed it, but I've also added some Ricardia moss here. There's some Ricardia infestidens over there and Ricardia over there. And all three are kind of looking a little bit rough, kind of covered in diatom algae. But they will bounce back for sure. I think it's time we start drip acclimating these shrimp. There they are. So we got 10 of the Neocaridina blue velvet. I think these are going to look absolutely amazing in this little scape. I was really having doubts between the blue ones and the yellow ones and even the orange ones as well. So I think we have to go back for the yellow ones as well. I still have some baby guppies in here, but I think we can move them to a bigger tank, and then we can make space here for maybe the orange ones. I think orange would look really cool in here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Alright, so we're draining some water from the tank through this hose, going down, going down, going down. Then I've tied a knot here just to kind of reduce the water flow. So right now it's, just dripping. So this is sort of like drip acclimating. So we'll come back in an hour and then we will release the shrimp.